before Caitlin was Rihanna and Diana and Sue and Rebecca and all of those, Dawn Staley as a player. Where does it go? Can it continue to climb, and will it climb on the back of now Paige Bueckers?
These are some of the comments right here. She doesn't need to play for that whack job. She should just buy a rivalry. Exactly. Kayla gives that type of bag. Sissy probably isn't this vindictive, but if it was me, if they wanted me outside, I'll demand a full retraction and apology from Gino for his comments on the Dan Patrick Show, which we'll get to that in a hot second.
So Gino Auriemma talked about Caitlin Clark again. This ought to be fun. And Patrick comments for him, where he said that Clark didn't have the right skill set for the WNBA, and that her fans were delusional for thinking she would come in and have this instant impact, I'm paraphrasing, and get his revised take on.
Before Caitlin was Rihanna and Diana and Sue and Rebecca and in all of those, a Dawn Staley as a player. Where does it go? Can it continue to climb, and will it climb on the back of now Paige Bueckers? Caitlin Clark, the golden child of basketball, dropped bombshell after starting her own basketball league because clearly dominating the sport wasn't enough. She's here to play commissioner owner and say bold right. Or maybe it's just what happens when the current system is so broken that even someone as young as Clark decides, yeah, I can probably do this better now. These are some of the comments right here. She doesn't need to play for that whack job. She should just buy a rival. Lou, exactly. Kayla, get that type of bag. See, she probably isn't this vindictive, but if it was me and they wanted me outside, I'll demand a full retraction and apology from Goino for his comments on the Dan Patrick Show, which we'll get to that in a hot second. Let's not pretend this is all rainbows and sportsmanship though. For months Caitlin's been dragged through the mud, labeled a product of privilege, her talent overshadowed by accusations of racism from players and even legends like A.A. Wilson, Alyssa Thomas and Cheryl Swoops. Her fan base criticized as much as they're idolized. The NAR narrative was clear: she's only famous because she's white. The reality: she didn't just survive the noise, she thrived in it. So Gina Ori talked about Caitlin Clark again. This ought to be fun, and now she's out here building something bigger than herself, her own league backed by big-time investors who see her as more than a player. They see her as the future. Hate her or love her, she's proven one thing: controversy sells. Whether it's skill, strategy, or just good PR, Clark's figured out how to turn every insult into opportunity and into dollars. The question is, will the world cheer, hate, watch, or just maybe reflect on what got us here? Dan Patrick comments for him, where he said that Clark didn't have the right skill set for the WNBA, and that her fans were delusional for thinking she would come in and have this instant impact. I'm paraphrasing, and get his revised take on that. Let's talk about the WNBA for a second. The league that was supposed to be the pinnacle of women's basketball, the one that's been around for decades but still can't figure out how to pay its players a living wage. Half the league has to pack their bags after the season and head to places like China or Russia just to pay their bills. Yes, Russia, the same place you'd probably rather avoid in any other context. But hey, if the WNBA says we can't afford you, what other choice do they have? Take Camila Cardoso, for example. She's flying off to, where was it again? China, somewhere overseas. Wherever it is, you can bet she's making more money there than in the WNBA, where salaries are, let's say, underwhelming. But sure, keep telling us the league is growing and thriving while your best players are booking international flights for their survival gigs. If only the heck had run his mouth, it's about to cost him. She doesn't need the money, why wear out her body in? And that's the same thing I was saying, Caitlin really don't need the money. I say rest up, forget this little league, maybe try it next year. But enter Caitlin Clark. This girl is basically single-handedly selling out arenas, breaking records, and giving the WNBA its most exciting moments in years. So naturally, instead of just being a star player, she's apparently thinking, why don't I just start a whole new league? And honestly, can you blame her? The WNBA doesn't seem to know how to handle its star power anyway. Clark probably figures, if I'm already doing all the heavy lifting, I might as well cash in on it myself. But let's not act like this is just about Clark. No, this is about every top-tier women's basketball player who's tired of being treated like a second-class athlete. The WNBA has been coasting for years, patting itself on the back for merely existing while ignoring the fact that its players are undervalued, underpaid, and underappreciated. And guess what? That's why this rumored rival league is such a big deal. Nonetheless, Gino talked about Caitlin Clark again and sort of gave some backhanded compliments, like he talked about how she connects to the audience, which was good. He talked about how she's tough, like Paige Beckers. Here's the pitch: a league where women basketball players actually get paid what they're worth. Revolutionary, right? No more hopping on 12-hour flights to some random European country just to make ends meet. No more feeling like a political pawn because the WNBA can't figure out how to balance basketball with its other agendas. Just good old-fashioned hoops and money, because newsflash, money matters. Oh, and get this: rumor has it Saudi Arabia might be interested in backing this new league. Yes, Saudi Arabia, the same country that's been throwing cash at sports leagues like it's monopoly money. They've already made waves with Live Golf, so why not women's basketball? It's almost laughable how quickly the WNBA would lose its players if a league backed by Saudi money popped up. Players would be like, wait, you mean I can stay in the US, play basketball and make real money? Where do I sign? I think one of the things that makes Caitlin Clark who she is the way she is with people. She connects with people and people connect with her. Now she talks a lot of on the court, all right. Believe me, when people talk about in WNBA, why are these people beating up Kid and Lar? Because she talks a lot of on the court. Now let's think about the logistics for a second. A new league could either compete directly with the WNBA during the summer or run during another season entirely. Either way, it's a nightmare for the WNBA. Imagine a league where Caitlin Clark teams up with Angel Reese, Paige Bookers and Juju Watkins. Forget competing with the WNBA. That lineup alone would obliterate it. Fans would flock to this new league faster than you can say sold out. And here's the kicker: this new league wouldn't just be about better pay. Oh no, that's too simple. It could also offer ownership stakes to players. That's right, actual equity, players owning a piece of the pie they're helping bake. What a concept! It's almost like treating athletes like business partners instead of just employees. Could be, I don't know. Empowering Caitlin Clark is doing more than playing basketball. She's changing the game. This league isn't just about hoops, it's about reclaiming her narrative and proving that talent, grit and vision transcend labels. For months she's been the lightning rod of controversy, praised for her skill yet vilified for her privilege. Now, instead of arguing, she's answering with action. Her league is a statement to every doubter who said she was a product of favoritism, not hard work. It's a rallying cry for athletes everywhere who feel stifled by outdated systems. And it's proof that when the game doesn't respect you, you create your own. If you're a college player and you're a great college player like Caitlin was, the delusional fanbase that follows her disrespected the WNBA players by saying she's going to go in that league and tear it apart. There were actually odds on what are like she's third or fourth in betting odds on being MVP to WNBA. Meanwhile, the WNBA would be left scrambling, trying to figure out how to keep its stars from jumping ship. Spoiler alert, they'd have to start paying their players more. Shocking, I know, but by the time they get their act together the damage might already be done, because once a league like this gains momentum, it's game over for the WNBA. But let's not forget the fans in all this, because really this isn't just about money and power, it's about giving fans what they want: high-quality basketball without all the noise. The WNBA has this nasty habit of getting tangled up in politics and social issues. And while those things are important, let's be real, some fans just want to watch the game. A new league that focuses solely on basketball would have a massive built-in audience of people who are tired of the extras. In the end, whether this league happens or not, one thing is clear: Caitlin Clark isn't just playing basketball, she's playing chess, and right now it looks like the WNBA is one bad move away from checkmate. The basketball watch K left side doesn't even look at her, waves her hand as if to say, I don't care about you, I'm not defending you. Caitlin Clark knows this. She knows her fanbase is loyal, passionate, and ready to follow her wherever she goes. If she starts a new league, those fans will show up, buy tickets, and flood social media with support, and once the merch starts flying off the shelves, good luck keeping up, WNBA. So what's the end game here? If this league actually happens, Caitlin Clark won't just be a B player anymore, she'll be a trailblazer, a visionary, and frankly a game changer. Her legacy would go from greatest of all time to the one who reshaped the entire sport. And for the WNBA it would mean one of two things: adapt or die, because here's the truth, the WNBA has had decades to get it right, decades to figure out how to properly market its players, build its fan base, and most importantly pay its athletes what they're worth. And yet here we are talking about Caitlin Clark potentially starting her own league because the current one isn't cutting it. If that's not a wake-up call, I don't know what is. Caitlin Clark isn't just rewriting the narrative, she's burning it to the ground. Think about it, a young woman in her prime taking on not just the competition, but the entire establishment. This isn't Just a basketball league. It's a mic drop on every critic who ever reduced her success to privilege, every doubter who said she was overrated, every player who pointed fingers but never looked in the mirror. Clark's league is more than a business move, it's a movement, and let's face it, it's impossible not to feel something about this, whether you're inspired, outraged, or some.